The silence between heartbeats holds the secret to our survival. In this moment, as you draw breath, 1-2 million acres of Amazon rainforest disappear into smoke and ash. The Earth's magnetic field weakens by 5% per decade, while quantum entanglement experiments reveal consciousness itself may be the thread that weaves reality together. Ancient sages understood what modern science now discovers. We are not separate observers of a dying world, but quantum participants in a cosmic web that connects every conscious being across space and time. The extinction probability calculations show a 67% species die-off within the next century. Ocean acidification accelerates beyond thermodynamic equilibrium. Yet hidden within quantum mechanics lies a truth that could transform our understanding of consciousness and our capacity to heal a collapsing biosphere. The question that haunts our survival: what happens when the quantum web of consciousness awakens to its own power during Earth's darkest hour? Pattern interrupt. Feel your pulse. Notice the space between thoughts. First revelation: the entanglement matrix of awareness. Scientists at Trinity College, Dublin, have detected quantum entanglement within living brain tissue. The same phenomenon Einstein called spooky action at a distance now appears to orchestrate consciousness itself. But here's where survival matrix indicates a deeper truth. If consciousness operates through quantum entanglement, then every aware being exists within an interconnected field that transcends physical boundaries. The implications cascade through our understanding like a quantum avalanche. When coral reefs bleach and die, their collective consciousness, yes, consciousness, sends quantum signals through the entanglement web. Marine biologists report inexplicable coordinated behaviors across ocean basins moments before mass die-offs. The quantum web doesn't just connect human minds, it links every conscious system on Earth into a unified field of awareness. Research reveals that microtubules within neurons create quantum coherent states. These microscopic structures, hollow tubes filled with quantum possibilities, may be the biological antennae receiving and transmitting consciousness across the entanglement web. As biodiversity collapses at 1,000 times the natural rate, we're not just losing species, we're severing connections in the planetary consciousness network. Shift rhythm. Breathe deeper. Sense the field around you. Second revelation: the observer effect and planetary healing. Quantum mechanics reveals that observation itself influences reality. The measurement problem in physics mirrors the awareness problem in consciousness studies. But ancient wisdom traditions understood this millennia ago. Consciousness shapes reality through focused attention. The survival implications are staggering. If 8 billion human minds could synchronize their quantum observations toward ecological restoration, could we literally restructure reality at the quantum level? Current research suggests that coherent intention can influence quantum random number generators. Scale this up to global consciousness focusing on forest regeneration, ocean healing, and atmospheric rebalancing. The quantum field responds to coherent observation. Climate tipping points approach like quantum thresholds. Once crossed, systems cascade into irreversible states. But consciousness, operating through quantum entanglement, exists outside linear time. Indigenous shamans have always known this. Healing can propagate backward through time, forward through space, changing probability patterns before they collapse into fixed reality. The magnetic field weakening by 5% per decade isn't just geophysical, it's reducing the planet's capacity to maintain quantum coherence. Earth's magnetic field may be the stabilizing force that allows the consciousness web to maintain entanglement across vast distances. As it weakens, the quantum connections between conscious beings become more vulnerable to decoherence. Another pattern interrupt. Notice how your awareness expands. Third revelation: Schumann resonances and the planetary mind. Earth's electromagnetic field pulses at specific frequencies called Schumann resonances, hovering around 783 Hz. These natural frequencies match the alpha brainwave patterns associated with meditative states and expanded consciousness. The planet itself generates a rhythm that synchronizes with human awareness. But here's the survival correlation. As global temperature rises and electromagnetic pollution increases, Schumann resonances show irregular fluctuations. The planet's natural frequency patterns, which have remained stable for millennia, now exhibit chaos signatures. This isn't just atmospheric disturbance. It's the disruption of the quantum coherence field that connects all conscious beings to Earth's electromagnetic matrix. Ancient spiritual traditions built temples and sacred sites at specific locations where Earth's electromagnetic field creates natural quantum coherence zones. These sites may be nodes in the planetary consciousness network, places where the quantum web becomes especially strong. Archaeological evidence suggests our ancestors understood geomagnetic anomalies and constructed sacred architecture to amplify quantum entanglement between human consciousness and Earth's field. As we lose these natural coherence zones to development and electromagnetic interference, we're dismantling the infrastructure that maintains planetary consciousness. The quantum web depends on these geomagnetic anchor points to sustain entanglement across global distances. Rhythm shift. Feel the Earth's pulse beneath your feet. Fourth, revelation, mass extinction, and consciousness fragmentation. The sixth mass extinction isn't just biological death. It's the systematic fragmentation of the planetary consciousness web. Every species carries unique quantum signatures within the entanglement field. When a species goes extinct, it's not just genetic information that disappears. It's a specific frequency of consciousness that once contributed to the global awareness network. Scientists studying quantum biology have discovered that migrating animals navigate using quantum-entangled particles in their cells, connected to Earth's magnetic field. As we disrupt migration routes and destroy habitats, we're severing these quantum navigation systems that connect species consciousness across continents. The survival matrix indicates that consciousness itself may be the organizing principle behind ecosystem stability. When forests reach critical mass, they demonstrate collective decision-making that resembles conscious choice. Trees share resources through underground networks, coordinate defense responses, and even appear to make sacrificial decisions for the survival of the forest community. But thermodynamic equilibrium calculations show that once we lose 75% of old-growth forests, the remaining fragments cannot maintain the quantum coherence necessary for collective consciousness. We're approaching the threshold where forest consciousness collapses into isolated, survival-focused fragments. Pattern interrupt. Sense the consciousness of the nearest plant. Fifth revelation, the quantum bootstrap of collective awakening. Quantum field theory suggests that consciousness may be a fundamental property of the universe, not an emergent phenomenon of complex brains. If true, then every particle, every wave, every quantum fluctuation carries some measure of awareness. The universe is not dead matter observed by isolated minds. It's conscious through and through, with human awareness being one specialized node in an infinite network. This quantum bootstrap effect means that as individual consciousness expands, it strengthens the entire web. But it also means that as the web fragments through ecological collapse, individual consciousness becomes more isolated and survival-focused. The feedback loop works both ways. Research indicates that when groups of people meditate together, their brainwaves synchronize, not just with each other, but with Schumann resonances. Collective meditation may literally tune human consciousness to Earth's frequency. At scale, this could represent a survival mechanism. Global consciousness synchronizing with planetary rhythms to navigate the climate crisis. The entropy acceleration we're witnessing The rapid increase in planetary chaos may be the result of consciousness fragmentation. As the quantum web weakens, the universe loses its capacity for self-organization. Climate systems become unpredictable, social systems collapse into conflict, and individual awareness contracts into fear-based survival mode. Shift pattern. Expand your awareness to include the entire room. Sixth revelation: time, consciousness, and retroactive healing. Quantum entanglement operates outside classical space-time constraints. When particles become entangled, their connection exists in a timeless realm, where cause and effect blur together. If consciousness utilizes quantum entanglement, then awareness itself may transcend linear time. Indigenous wisdom keepers have always understood this. Healing work in the present can influence past traumas and future possibilities. The quantum consciousness web doesn't just connect minds across space. It connects moments across time. Present moment awareness can send quantum information backward to heal historical traumas and forward to shift probability patterns. The survival implications are profound. If collective human consciousness could achieve quantum coherence, we might be able to influence the probability patterns that led to ecological collapse. Not through magic, but through the quantum bootstrap effect. Consciousness collapsing probability waves in favor of regenerative outcomes. But this requires understanding that we are not separate from the ecological crisis. We are quantum participants in its unfolding. Every thought, every intention, every moment of awareness contributes to the probability matrix that determines whether Earth's living systems survive or collapse. Pattern interrupt. Feel your connection to past and future. Seventh revelation: the Myelin frequency and planetary resonance. Recent discoveries show that myelin sheaths surrounding nerve fibers create quantum coherent states that may generate consciousness itself. These fatty tissues form cylindrical cavities that facilitate quantum entanglement between photons, possibly explaining how billions of neurons synchronize into unified awareness. But here's the ecological connection. Myelin requires specific fatty acids that come from healthy ecosystems. As we poison waterways and destroy marine food webs, we're compromising the very biological infrastructure that maintains quantum consciousness. The omega-3 fatty acids essential for neural quantum coherence come from algae, which form the base of aquatic food chains. Ocean acidification doesn't just kill marine life. It destroys the algae that produce the molecules necessary for optimal brain function and quantum consciousness. The planetary web of consciousness depends on healthy oceans to maintain the biochemical foundation for quantum coherence in nervous systems. Forest fires release toxic compounds that interfere with myelin formation. Air pollution disrupts the delicate quantum states in neural tissue. The ecological crisis isn't separate from the consciousness crisis. They're quantum-entangled aspects of the same systemic collapse. Rhythm shift. Breathe clean air into your quantum coherence. Eighth revelation: the collective unconscious as quantum field. Carl Jung described the collective unconscious as a shared psychological space containing universal patterns and symbols. Quantum physics now suggests this may be literal, a field of entangled information accessible to all conscious beings. The archetypal patterns Jung identified could be stable configurations in the quantum consciousness web, but survival matrix calculations indicate that trauma patterns also propagate through the quantum field. The collective anxiety about ecological collapse creates coherent fear patterns in the consciousness web. These emotional quantum states influence behavior on a planetary scale, often manifesting as denial, depression, or destructive behaviors that accelerate ecological breakdown. The quantum web carries both wisdom and trauma, healing and destruction. Indigenous cultures developed practices to cleanse collective trauma from the consciousness field. Ceremonies, rituals, and healing practices that restored quantum coherence to community awareness. As we lose these cultural technologies for maintaining quantum coherence, traumatic patterns accumulate in the collective field. The result? Entire populations exhibiting symptoms of ecological grief, climate anxiety, and civilization collapse before the physical crisis fully manifests. Pattern interrupt. Sense the collective field around humanity. Ninth revelation. Quantum error correction and species survival. Quantum computers use error correction codes to maintain coherence despite environmental interference. The consciousness web may employ similar mechanisms, using redundancy and entanglement to preserve information even when individual nodes fail. This explains why indigenous wisdom remains coherent across millennia despite cultural disruption. The consciousness web stores survival information in quantum error correction patterns distributed across many minds. Traditional ecological knowledge isn't just cultural memory, it's quantum information encoded in the collective field. But we're approaching the threshold where the error correction system fails. When too many nodes disconnect from the web, through species extinction, cultural destruction, or consciousness fragmentation, the quantum system loses its capacity to maintain coherent information. Survival knowledge disappears, not through forgetting, but through quantum decoherence. The mass extinction event we're witnessing represents a catastrophic failure of the planetary consciousness web's error correction system. We're losing the redundancy necessary to maintain coherent awareness about how to live in harmony with Earth systems. Shift rhythm. Connect with ancient wisdom in the quantum field. 10th revelation. The Bootstrap paradox of conscious evolution. Here's where the quantum mystery deepens into survival necessity. Consciousness may be both the cause and solution to ecological collapse. The same quantum awareness that allowed us to develop destructive technologies also contains the potential for regenerative transformation. But there's a Bootstrap paradox. We need expanded consciousness to solve the problems created by limited consciousness. Yet ecological collapse fragments the very quantum web that supports consciousness expansion. The solution must emerge from within the crisis itself. Ancient sages understood thermodynamic principles that modern science is rediscovering. Entropy can reverse through conscious intervention in quantum systems. The second law of thermodynamics applies to isolated systems, but consciousness introduces information that can decrease entropy and increase order. The question that determines human survival: can we achieve quantum coherence fast enough to reverse ecological entropy before critical tipping points eliminate the possibility of regeneration? Final pattern interrupt. Expand awareness to encompass the entire planet. The resolution: activating the quantum web. The open loop completes here, in this moment of recognition. The quantum web that links all conscious beings isn't separate from you, it operates through you. Every breath you take influences the coherence of the entire system. Every moment of expanded awareness strengthens the entanglement field that connects all life on Earth. The survival matrix indicates that we have perhaps 1 decade to achieve collective quantum coherence before ecological collapse fragments the consciousness web beyond repair. But remember, quantum entanglement operates outside linear time. The healing you activate now propagates backward through the field, influencing the probability patterns that led to this crisis. The ancient practices weren't primitive superstition. They were quantum technologies for maintaining coherence in the consciousness web. Meditation synchronizes your brainwaves with Schumann resonances. Prayer sends quantum information through the entanglement field. Ceremony creates collective coherence that can influence reality at the quantum level. You are not a powerless observer of ecological collapse. You are a quantum participant in the consciousness web that determines whether Earth's living systems survive and thrive. Every moment of awareness you contribute to the field influences the probability patterns that shape our collective future. The quantum web awakens through individual nodes achieving coherence and connecting with others. As the network of awakened consciousness reaches critical mass, it can shift the entire planetary system away from collapse trajectories and toward regenerative patterns. The choice exists in this quantum moment. Remain fragmented and isolated, contributing to the entropy acceleration that drives ecological collapse, or remember your connection to the web and activate the quantum coherence that can heal our world. The survival of consciousness depends on the consciousness of survival. The quantum web that links all beings awaits your full participation. The Earth's living systems pulse with quantum potential, ready to respond to the coherent intention of an awakened species. The time for half measures has passed. The quantum field responds to total commitment, complete presence, and the willingness to remember that you are not separate from the web. You are the web, awakening to its own power to transform reality. Step into the quantum web. The planet's survival depends on it. Your consciousness is the key that unlocks Earth's regenerative potential. The entanglement field